started like any other afternoon. Two teenage brothers, Kevin and Jason, walked into a luxury car showroom after school, their eyes wide with curiosity. Dressed in everyday hoodies and sneakers, they looked nothing like the usual high-end clientele the showroom was used to. But they weren't loud or disrespectful. On the contrary, they spoke with calmness, asked thoughtful questions, and showed genuine interest in the cars. Yet within minutes, a sales associate approached them, eyes narrowed with suspicion. "You two shouldn't be here," he said sharply. "This is not a place for kids." No explanation, no offer to help, just cold dismissal. The boys tried to explain they were just browsing, not causing any trouble. But it didn't matter. They were asked to leave. No one else was treated that way. What was it? Their age? Their casual clothes? Or the color of their skin? As they stepped outside, heads low and hearts heavy, they weren't just feeling embarrassed. They were questioning their worth. For the first time, they saw how deeply people's biases could cut. But little did the staff know, these two kids were the sons of one of the most successful tech entrepreneurs in the country. And what came next wasn't revenge. It was something much more powerful. This wasn't just a story about cars or kids. It was about how quickly we judge, how easily we label, and how wrong we can be. Would you like the next section to be rewritten in this tone too? When Kevin and Jason got home that evening, they didn't say much. No big complaints. No dramatic outbursts. Just a quiet "we're fine." The kind that makes a parent stop and take a second look. But their father, Mr. Carter, could tell something was off. A subtle heaviness hung over the dinner table. It wasn't until later that night, when the boys were winding down, that Kevin finally said, "Dad, have you ever been treated like you don't belong?" Jason followed with a sigh. "Because today we were." Mr. Carter leaned in. "Tell me everything." And they did. Every detail. The glances. The dismissal. The way they were treated, not because they did anything wrong, but because they didn't look like they should be in a showroom full of cars that cost six figures. Because they were young. Because they were black. Mr. Carter sat in silence, absorbing every word. He didn't get angry, not in the way people expect. No raised voice, no dramatic outrage. Instead, there was a tightening in his jaw, a flicker in his eyes, the kind of quiet fury that only someone who's walked that road himself would recognize. He'd been there many times, in boardrooms where he was the only one who looked like him, in meetings where people assumed he was the assistant, not the CEO, in airports where he was asked twice if he was in the right lounge. But this was different. This was his son's. And so he made a decision. The next morning, Mr. Carter dressed sharply. Navy suit, polished shoes, no tie. He didn't need it. His presence spoke volumes. He told his sons, "Come with me." And they did, still unsure, still carrying the sting of yesterday. They returned to the same luxury car dealership, the same glass doors, the same marble floors. But this time, everything felt different. The receptionist smiled, clearly recognizing the boys, and not in a good way. A whisper to a manager, a glance, then, polite but forced, "Can we help you?" Mr. Carter smiled calmly. "Yes, I'd like to speak to whoever is in charge." Moments later, a senior manager approached, clearly intrigued. Mr. Carter introduced himself with a quiet confidence. No need to list achievements. But the manager's eyes widened in slow realization. This wasn't just any man. This was Elijah Carter, founder and CEO of Carter Tech Innovations, one of the most influential technology firms in the country. And he wasn't here to buy a car. Not yet. "I believe my sons came in here yesterday," Mr. Carter began, his voice level. "They were treated not as customers, not even as guests, but as intruders. I just wanted to see that for myself." The manager fumbled. Apologies were rushed out. "It must have been a misunderstanding. We'll speak to the team. This is not who we are." But Mr. Carter wasn't interested in hollow apologies. "I'm not here to embarrass you," he said. "I'm here to show you something. Those two young men, the ones you dismissed, they're not just my sons. They are the next generation of leaders. And yesterday, you told them they didn't belong." He paused, letting the words sink in. "And That's the problem. Silence filled the showroom. Customers had started watching. Staff stood frozen. Then Mr. Carter turned to his sons. You see, you never let someone else decide your value. Ever. And with that, he turned and walked out, calm, composed, dignified. Later that day, Mr. Carter received a personal call from the CEO of the dealership's parent company. Public apology followed. Staff were required to undergo bias training. And Kevin and Jason, they didn't just learn about cars that week, they learned about strength, about self-worth, about the kind of quiet power that doesn't need to shout to be heard. Because sometimes the most powerful statement isn't made with anger, that it's made with dignity. That night, after everything, after the car dealership, the quiet confrontation, and the unspoken weight that had settled on their young shoulders, Kevin and Jason sat in their room, quiet again. But this silence felt different. They weren't just tired. They were thinking, processing. Their father, Mr. Carter, knocked lightly and stepped in. He wasn't holding his usual briefcase or wearing his usual commanding air. Instead, he had something softer in his eyes. Not weakness, but something even stronger, vulnerability. He sat on the edge of the bed and looked at his sons like he was seeing them for the very first time. Not as children, not as boys, but as young men standing at the edge of a world that would sometimes try to define them before they even had a chance to speak. You know, he began, when I was your age, I used to wonder if I'd ever be seen for who I really was. Not for how I looked, not for the color of my skin, but for my heart, my mind, my character. The boys looked up, quietly listening. There were days I walked into rooms and felt invisible, or worse, like I was only visible for the things people wanted to judge. He paused, then continued, but I had to learn something. The world, it's not always fair. It won't always clap for you. Sometimes it'll close doors. Sometimes it'll look you in the face and still not see you. But you have to know who you are. And never let them take that from you. Jason frowned. But it hurts, Dad, when people look at you like you're less. Like you don't belong. Mr. Carter nodded. Yes, son, it hurts. And it's okay to feel that hurt. But never let that pain convince you that you're not enough. Then he stood up, walked over to his bookshelf and pulled out a small wooden box. Inside it were photos, old, faded, some torn at the edges. He showed them to the boys. This is your grandfather, he said, pointing to a man in overalls, standing beside a brick wall. He worked construction his whole life, got up every morning before the sun. He couldn't read until he was 17. But he used to tell me, Elijah, your worth isn't in what people say about you. It's in what you believe about yourself. He pulled out another photo, this one of a younger Mr. Carter, holding a rejection letter from a university. They told me I wasn't a good fit. That was code, of course. But I didn't stop. I studied harder. I built my own company instead. And now, that same university invites me to speak at their graduations. Kevin's eyes widened. Did you ever forgive them? Mr. Carter smiled. I didn't have to. I outgrew them. He leaned in close, his voice low and steady. Character is what you do when no one's watching. Self-worth is how you speak to yourself when the world's trying to shout you down. And confidence? Confidence comes from knowing that no matter what the world throws at you, you already have everything you need inside you. He looked at his sons, holding their gaze. You are not small. You are not broken. You are not less than. You are enough. Right now, as you are. By now, Jason was blinking hard, and Kevin looked away, trying to hide his tears. Let them stare, Mr. Carter continued, softly. Let them doubt. Let them whisper. But you walk into every room with your head high. You speak with kindness. You lead with courage. And you never let anyone else write your story. He stood, kissed both their foreheads, and before he left the room, he said one last thing. The world will try to measure you with the wrong rulers. But remember this, your worth is not up for debate. That night, the boys didn't sleep right away. They lay in the quiet, not speaking, but feeling something settle deep within them. Not just pride, not just clarity, identity. And from that moment forward, every time they faced a challenge, every time they were questioned, judged, or underestimated, they would remember their father's voice. That steady, unwavering truth. You are more than enough. It started with a single photo that a quiet moment captured in the dealership parking lot. A father standing between his two sons, one arm wrapped around each of them, their faces proud but tired, their eyes telling a story no words could quite explain. The photo was posted by a bystander. No name, no caption, just 5 words. This man changed my life. By morning, it had 20,000 shares. By lunch, it had 200,000. By dinner, it was a global phenomenon. People didn't just scroll past this photo. They paused. They stared. They clicked. They cried. Something about it, the rawness, the quiet strength in the father's stance, the protective way he held his sons. It hit deep. Then came the video. Just 90 seconds, footage of Mr. Carter calmly walking out of the dealership, his voice firm but controlled, holding the sales manager accountable, not with anger, but with truth. Gentlemen, you didn't just ignore 2 boys. You ignored what they represent. You ignored the future. The moment he looked into the camera, not with rage, but with a father's heart, the internet broke. The comments section turned into a movement under the video. Tens of thousands of comments poured in. This gave me goosebumps. My dad never stood up for me like that. I'm sobbing. He didn't yell. He didn't curse. But somehow he said everything. A hashtag began to trend. And then another. Teachers, parents, activists, and celebrities began sharing their own stories about being dismissed, ignored, or made to feel small. Each post tagged the original video. Each one ended with the same message. I see you. I believe in you. You are enough. Global reaction news outlets picked it up. Talk shows invited Mr. Carter and his sons. The clip was translated into 12 languages within 48 hours. In Brazil. A teacher played the clip in her classroom to talk about self-worth. In South Africa. A youth organization launched a scholarship fund in honor of the boys. In the US, schools began including the story in character education curriculums. And it wasn't just about race. It wasn't just about family. It was about value. How we see ourselves, how we see each other, and how much power one moment can carry. The boys speak out. A few days later, Kevin and Jason made a video of their OWN.NO script. No flashy edits. Just 2 teenagers sitting on their bedroom floor, looking into a phone camera with nervous energy and honest hearts. Kevin spoke first. We didn't expect any of this. We didn't post the video. We weren't trying to go viral. But we're glad it happened. Jason added, we've always known our dad was special. Now the world does too. And to everyone who's ever felt invisible, we see you. The comments section exploded. Hearts, fire emojis, tears, thousands of young people writing, this is me. Others saying, I showed this to my dad. Some whispering, I wish I had a dad like that. A wave of Change the Dealership where the incident occurred released a formal apology. But it didn't stop there. They offered free leadership training for all staff. They invited the Carter family to help design an inclusivity policy. Mr. Carter declined any payment. Instead, he asked for one thing: hire someone you wouldn't have considered before. Give someone a chance. That message traveled further than anyone imagined. Other companies followed suit. HR departments everywhere started reevaluating hiring practices. Diversity panels began citing the Carter video as a case study. And across TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube, creators began using their platforms not just to entertain, but to educate, to uplift, to empower. More than just a moment, what began as a painful experience turned into a global conversation. Not about going viral, not about one family, but about all of us, what we value, what we tolerate, and how we choose to respond when faced with injustice. And above all, it became a love letter to every young person who's ever been told they don't belong. In a world overflowing with noise, it was a quiet, steady voice, a father's voice that moved millions. Because sometimes it only takes one moment of truth to make the whole world listen. When you watch a father stand up for his children the way Mr. Carter did, it isn't just a story of one family's struggle. It's a powerful reminder for all of us, especially the younger generation, about the true meaning of self-worth, dignity, and the strength to stand tall in the face of adversity. The world can sometimes be harsh. Whether it's the challenges you face because of your appearance, background, or even the way others perceive you, it's easy to feel small, dismissed, or invisible. The bullying, the discrimination, it all chips away at your confidence and makes you question your value. But Mr. Carter's response to his son's humiliation shows us a different way. Lesson 1. Know your value and never let anyone take it away in life. There will always be people who try to diminish you. They'll make you feel like you're not enough because of how you look, where you come from, or who you associate with. But one of the most important lessons we can take from this story is Lesson 2, the power of kindness and speaking up in the digital age. It's easy to think that the only way to be heard is through shouting, through controversy, or through viral moments. But the lesson we learned from Mr. Carter is that sometimes the most powerful statement is made through quiet strength and integrity, instead of retaliating or seeking vengeance. Mr. Carter chose to educate and raise awareness about the harmful effects of discrimination. He didn't need to insult anyone or make anyone feel inferior. His calm but firm response spoke volumes. Kindness, combined with strength, has the power to move mountains. To the younger generation, you don't have to be loud or aggressive to make an impact. Sometimes standing up for what's right, speaking out against injustice, or showing compassion can be even more powerful. Be the voice of reason, the one who uplifts, educates, and challenges the status quo with kindness and respect. Underscore 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 underscore. Lesson 3. Be a role model for others. The moment Mr. Carter took action, he became a role model, not just for his sons, but for anyone who witnessed his actions. He understood that his behavior would not only influence his own children, but also send a message to the wider world. The way he taught his sons about dignity, respect, and the importance of standing up for themselves was more than just words. It was a live lesson in leadership. He showed them that it's not just about doing the right thing for yourself, but about setting an example for others, especially the younger generation who might look up to you. So to all the young people out there, you are leaders too. Your actions matter. The way you treat others, the way you carry yourself, and the values you hold will influence the people around you, and that influence can create ripples of positive change. Don't wait for someone else to lead the way. Be the change you want to see. Lesson 4. Empowering others by lifting them up. Another vital takeaway from Mr. Carter's actions is the idea of lifting others up when you have the power to do so. He didn't just stand up for his sons, he stood up for anyone who had been marginalized or made to feel insignificant. He could have let the moment pass. He could have just walked away, but he didn't. He took that moment to empower others, to show that everyone, regardless of their background, has the right to be treated with dignity and respect. The younger generation, empower others, especially those who may not have a voice of their own. Stand with them, support them, and let them know that they matter. In a world that sometimes feels divided, your ability to lift others up will not only make a difference in their lives, but will also shape a more inclusive and compassionate world for everyone. Lesson 5. True strength comes from humility and love. The most remarkable part of Mr. Carter's actions wasn't the confrontation itself, it was the humility and love that drove it. He wasn't fighting for power or for revenge. He was fighting for his children's dignity, for their right to be seen as equal, and for the world to recognize their humanity. His love for his sons shone through every word, every gesture. This lesson is vital for all of us, especially the younger generation. True strength is born of humility, not pride. It's not about seeking glory for yourself or proving you're better than others. It's about understanding that strength is rooted in love, compassion, and a desire to make the world a better place for everyone. In conclusion, what Mr. Carter showed us is the importance of standing tall with grace, knowing your worth, and using your voice to make the world a better place. To the younger generation, I urge you, embrace these lessons. Don't let the challenges of life diminish your spirit. Know that you have the power to change the world around you, one small act of kindness, one moment of strength, and one voice of truth at a time. You are enough. You have always been enough. And the world is waiting for you to make your mark. So go out there, stand tall, and let the world see the incredible power of who you are. As we come to the close of the story, we're reminded of the incredible strength that lies within each of us. It's easy to get lost in the chaos of everyday life, to get caught up in the negativity and judgments that surround us. But just like Mr. Carter, we can choose to rise above it all with dignity, respect, and compassion. The message is clear. True strength comes from staying calm in the face of adversity, from knowing your worth, and from lifting others up with love and understanding. It's not about fighting back in anger or retaliation. It's about choosing the high road even when it feels hard. It's about embracing your own power, not to dominate others, but to lead with kindness, to stand tall with grace, and to inspire those around you to do the same. To everyone watching, I hope this story touched your heart the way it touched mine. I hope it reminded you that no matter what challenges you face, you are capable of incredible things. You have the power to create a world filled with kindness, respect, and dignity. Your words, your actions, and your attitude matter. They can change the world for the better, one small moment at a time. If you believe in the power of compassion, in the strength of self-respect, and in the value of standing up for what's right, I invite you to join our community. Subscribe to this channel so we can continue to share stories that inspire and empower. And please, leave a comment below to let us know your thoughts. How has this story impacted you? What lessons will you carry forward in your own life? Your voice matters, and I'd love to hear from you. Thank you for watching, for sharing in this journey with us. Together, we can make a difference. Together, we can inspire the change we want to see in the world. So, let's keep this conversation going, and let's keep spreading love, respect, and understanding.